Hi, I'm Rigger. This is You're Right, and it's time for episode 9 of volume 9 of RWBY, A Tale Involving a Tree. It's here, the penultimate episode of the volume, just one more left after this. So, this is our setup for everything to come. And it's interesting because it's short, and there almost isn't a whole lot to say about it, but yet there's a lot to say about it, if that makes sense. The contents isn't massive, but the setup is. If anything, this episode was a tease for the last, a pure setup episode for whatever happens next for our team. And we have some revelations, sure, but I don't think any of them are too crazy. Let's dive into it. So to start with, we have our narrator returning, and, doing some lines from the book. And it goes somewhat how you'd expect. Alex had a great many questions to ponder before she went home. Who was she? And we got to Summer Rose reading, which I think most people probably saw coming. I know I did. There's a female motherly narrator reading over the thing. It's probably going to be Summer Rose. Whether we see her or not was the question, but yeah, we saw her. And I would just like to say that I was completely correct with my predictions of Summer's appearance, so, go me. I noticed the little badge, I noticed everything, so just little cheer for myself here while I'm being self-indulgent. But either way, you get Summer Rose reading to the girls. It's very cute, although I do feel it's slightly incorrect just with what we know, because according to Yang, when Summer left, RWBY couldn't talk yet. I only remember because I referenced it in my last video. And that video might still be quite relevant, by the way, so it'll be one of the ones linked at the end of this about what RWBY might choose and perhaps shouldn't choose. But either way, she's reading to Yang and RWBY looks a lot older than she should be, according to all the rest of the lore, but whatever, not important. Some people get mad about inconsistencies like that. It doesn't really matter. It tells the same story. Besides, maybe RWBY just had a big head. Who knows? Point is, it circles back to one question. What are you? And with this, we cut back to the rest of the team. For Weiss, Blake, Yang, and Jean as they rush towards the tree. No idea how to get there. And they end up immediately back at the drowned paper town. Jean, of course, is immediately confronted. What did I do wrong? And then a little crystal person appears and asks what they need and if they could use some help, because they'd be happy to. They are a genial gem, here to clean up the land, an obvious reincarnation of the paper pleasers. And they're everywhere in lots of colours, and they start cleaning things up, including the water. And Jean reflects, thinking that he's been selfish because he needed the rush to save people. He needed to be a hero. But I actually really appreciate what Weiss says, where she steps in and says, I think you're being too harsh on yourself. You're asking too much of yourself to not feel these things, because even the best huntsman in history still lost. In general, the best people make mistakes. The best and brightest of us have done the wrong thing, don't always know the right answer. That's the sentiment passed along, and I really appreciate it. It's a really mature approach. And again, like I said, the last video I made about not maybe idolizing heroes all the time, same thing. And I really think we might go into that in the last volume, so check that video out after this one. Either way, in what is a very cathartic moment, they all come together and hug. All four of them, they hug. And it's this acceptance that teleports them straight to the tree. It's a place is what they say, over and over again. That, you need to accept yourself. You need to be one with yourself. It's not about knowing the right thing to do. It's not about fear or confidence. It's knowing. It's accepting who you are and completing your journey. And that takes them to the tree. And when they get to the tree, they see two wooden statues. One of Herb and one of RWBY. In amongst all the rest of this brush, it's like a woody little maze. And they see these statues there, in the midst of growing and changing. Yang, appropriately so, freaks out, runs over to the RWBY statue, and starts ripping at the branches, trying to stop whatever's growing on RWBY. Although she seems completely covered, it is like a statue, but I can understand the panic, and I'm kind of happy she didn't punch it, to be honest. But it's pointed out that now, whatever comes next is up to RWBY. We can't do anything from here. And Yang is again freaking out. What if she isn't RWBY anymore? And it's a legitimate fear, with everything we've heard. But it seems like everything we heard might not be totally correct. Because she said, what if she isn't RWBY anymore? And here's where Herb bursts from his statue. And he has legs now, and giant butterfly wings, and he flies off without a word. But it's an evolution of who Herb was. Does he have his memories and all of that? We don't know. Remembering that the cat told us this was the case, that they wouldn't have memories and stay away from the tree, but the cat didn't want the best for them. And that might be, kind of important to remember. Either way, Blake comforts Yang, which, as much comfort as you can get right now. And then we cut to the void. And the blacksmith is working in the void and says, I didn't expect you here just yet. Which again, because they did expect RWBY here, just not yet. Because she drank the tea, didn't come herself, but she was always going to be here, it seems. And RWBY asked the simple question, the obvious question, are you the tree? Sort of. He could say that, but that's simplistic about understanding what the tree is and does. As I think a lot of people probably put together, the smith might not be the smith for everyone. The smith is some kind of apparition of the tree, some figment of the tree that communicates and talks. Whether the smith is actually a being or not, up to interpretation. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. The smith is there to serve the tree, to be a communication piece, and to talk with those who are going through the issue. Whether that's a smith or whoever else you need to talk to. Whatever it may be. I do like that finally the tree on the back of the smith made sense in a clear shot, because I remember back before the series started, trying to figure out how the hell the shapes on this thing worked. I'd also like to point out that I think we have a sneak peek of what Little's gonna end up looking like. Look at that skull that she's working on. I have to admit, when I first saw it, I realized that there's a good chance Little comes out looking like a Cubone with the skull on his head. I did actually make this joke on Twitter a while ago, and that might be, I don't think, that relevant, and that he's going to be that huge, but yeah, coming out as a warrior to help save them, that seems pretty likely. We got a hint of what Herb might look like, so, it seems like we're doing the same thing again. Foreshadowing for what the mouse might be, because that looks like a mouse skull to me. But also, notably, a lot bigger. Bigger enough that it could do some damage if we wanted. So yeah, good stuff. Someone to protect RWBY, to protect Ever After, perhaps. But RWBY is terrified, because why wouldn't you be? As far as she's concerned, she's facing her death. And maybe. We don't really know. And even if it's memory loss, that's character death. Same thing. If you're going, oh, I'm not dying, I'm just losing my entire identity and all of my memories, well, you're dying. It's the same thing. So, RWBY has no idea what she's facing, and in a comforting way, the smith says the only thing that can happen to you is what you want to happen. And the smith comes to realize that, RWBY, you don't know what you want, do you? Cutting back outside, we see the big, shiny door, the way out, apparently. Also, I would like to point out that I do appreciate that on the door you can see both gods. On the left side is the god of darkness in the Western dragon shape, upside down. And on the right side is the god of light in the more Eastern dragon style. Of course the gods made everything, but I don't know. I like that they're there. It's kind of cool. It's a nice detail, whoever put that in, so good work. And bang, bang, bang. Neo and the cat, in one, are being rejected out that door. They're running in and being flung out, and running in and being flung out. And then she lays all seductively, which is interesting. I guess a cat would do that too. And full of sarcasm, the cat says, oh good, you made it! Just sick of all this. And Weiss, with some sass, goes, I guess your little plan to escape isn't working? And the cat dryly responds, you've always been the worst of the bunch. That was great. That was one of the best lines of this volume. I like it. Very good. Weiss's sass usually goes unrecognized or eyes rolled at. I like the cat responding. Either way, this isn't working. And the cat goes on to explain that it's not working because Neo has no attachment to the world, no desire to go back. Again, we might be leaving Neo here, as we've talked about a lot. She has no want to go back, why would she? The answer to that is revenge on Cinder, I suppose, but it definitely seems that revenge on RWBY was the greater overall thing. So without that, she has nothing, and with nothing and no desire to return, she's not returning. This is where we get our explanation of what happened with Alex and Lewis and all of that. So the cat again recalls the tales, and he wasn't exactly lying when he said that Alex didn't want to take him back, but that's because Alex wanted to stay. That Alex, upon approaching the door, Lewis goes in and returns, and Alex wants to stay and fix things with Jean, fix things with everybody, fix all the wrongs she had done. She felt guilt, she felt regret. So, unable to get what he wants, the cat violently reacted and implies that he killed Alex. Which means that the likelihood of Alex being the mouse seems kinda likely, because if Alex died here, was probably reincarnated here, gotta pick something that I'm being reincarnated as, and, I don't know, we need to pick something, probably wasn't Herb, it wasn't the cat, and we don't have any other fairy tale creatures or creatures of ever after, afterans, whatever, along for the ride with us, except for Little. Like, he's the only other constant character, so Little probably is Alex. Edit. I just wanted to point out that I was being done the other creatures, of course, Juniper. That would make a lot more sense. Alex is Juniper, she came back to help Jean. That makes all the sense in the world. So yeah, forget what I was saying about Little, I'm almost sure it's Juniper, that makes way more sense. The other one I've heard is the blacksmith, but I don't think so because, I guess you could say that's like an embodiment of fixing everything, but the blacksmith really seems like more of an embodiment of the tree and rather than an actual being that appears. And just being the voice of the tree, I don't know how useful it is when it can seemingly do pretty much whatever it wants. But either way, Neo Cheshire squares up because it's fight time. Then we cut back to the void, and Ruby is talking with the blacksmith and walking with the blacksmith. It's nice, it's casual, it's calm, and there are all these lights rushing past Ruby. And she asks who they are and what is this? And they're souls of people being changed, people moving on, people moving to what they need. And Ruby is obviously worried. And the smith confronts her and says, is that concern for others? So much concern for others you don't know? Or is it concern for yourself? It's then when we cut back to the fight. See, I actually thought we were going to cut away from the fight and not get one, and I was happy we cut back. Either way, the cat then uses some of Neo's power to be an awesome troll and summon some ghoul rubies. I'm dubbing them ghoul rubies, little soulless, horrific rubies, to taunt the team, because it's, again, fight time, but it's the cat, so it fights like a troll. And I do like that in this case that Yang just smashes them immediately. No thought that this is actually Ruby, of course not. Just smash your stupid visions, let's fight. It's fight time. Yang is very, very mad and very upset, so yes, fight time, punch punch. Cutting back, we get Ruby again, and Ruby says that she just wants to be like the heroes in the stories her mum read her. She just wants to do the right thing. But it seems at every turn, there is no right thing. There is no right answer. It's at this point where we get Ruby, the show's favourite trope, which is crying whilst looking down from a POV. And Ruby's in tears at this point and says, maybe I just did more harm than good. Like, I don't understand who I need to be the hero, because who I am right now is not working. It's at this point where the blacksmith interjects and says, well, what if I told you you could be anyone? And tons of weapons appear. All these heroes, all their stories. I like this, except that, like, you have to admit that the blacksmith isn't really being helpful because all you see is a bunch of weapons. Most of them are for people you don't know. But there is one that Ruby will recognize, of course. But either way, we cut back to the fight for now. And this is where Jean is understandably pissed off after however many years he's been here. He said he thought the whole time that Alex went back and lied about everything, but actually, no, it was the stupid cat that killed her. And the cat fires back, and you were never a brave knight either. We're all liars here. As the cat vindictively says, it's just more fairy tale nonsense. And I love that phrase coming from a fairy tale creature in a fairy tale world. Because it's true. Just because the place looks like something to you doesn't mean it is that thing. There are lives here. Are they not real because it's not Remnant? Of course not. Is the cat suffering not real because it's not a person? Of course not. This is all fairy tale nonsense. You're all just deluding yourselves. And the cat, having lived here, is not falling for that. And then Jean goes for a killing strike, and because it's Jean, he can never land his killing strike, although the cat does play very dirty by turning into Penny, because of course, after all this time, the cat knows what gets to Jean, and he can't deliver that strike. Interestingly, though, a vision of Pyrrha slides behind him and delivers a clean, hard strike to Jean's back with a blade. Like, we're talking, she uses a short sword to slash his lower back, and we get a full-on flash for it. And Jean only reacts with, like, shock, and then the fight continues where he gets knocked back, and then Weiss launches a fireball at the cat, who dodges, and the fireball hits Jean, and he goes flying off the tree. He does block it with his shield, but he goes flying off the platform at least. Who knows if it's off the tree, but he goes flying away. But he put his hands up to block with the shield. What I am concerned about right now is that we didn't see Jean use his legs. He was standing straight, Pyrrha vision slashed at his back with a blade in his lower spine, and then he was still standing, and he got knocked backwards. Like, he was standing still straight up, he didn't take a step or anything, and got kicked by the cat, and fell backwards. He fell directly backwards onto his back, and then sat up from the hips, and took the shot onto the shield, and flew backwards off the platform. I'm worried about Jean's spine and legs. He took a straight sword shot to the spine. Maybe they're saying in that big flash that it cracked his aura. We didn't really see any aura. Obviously, it's RWBY, we always have to consider aura, but in this specific case, we did not see Jean's aura break. We just saw a big white flash. And we've seen attacks like that before. Maybe it's meant to imply aura, and hopefully it is, because I am terrified for Jean's spine and legs. If he can't walk anymore, what's going to happen? Although, it could be a thing where this is a thing where he gets paralyzed and he goes to the tree and reincarnates as his younger self because that's who he needs to be to return to the world, and that's what'll happen. That he can't go fight without legs, and he can't be the hero he needs to be, and he can't save all his friends for real back on Remnant, and he goes through the process of the tree and leaves with legs. And in that case, he becomes his younger self. I don't want them to revert his age, but this is what I can see happening. He has to go reincarnate as younger Jean because he needs his youth, and he needs to be with his friends, and he needs his legs back. And yeah. Finally, we cut back to the Void again, and we see all the weapons, and the blacksmith says you could put on any one of them and leave Ruby Rose behind. And Ruby expresses that it never goes away, this feeling of not being enough. And with the narration coming back that before she went home, she had a great many questions to ponder. What are you? And she reaches for her mum's axe, and we cut to the ending. And there we get a full image of Summer's design. It's very nice. And almost exactly what I said it would be. So, woohoo! Oh, I'd also like to point out the one line before that where Ruby is looking at some weapons in a case and says, who did this belong to? And the tree says, the blacksmith says, it's not about who it did, but who could it belong to? I would also like to give a little, congratulations and hello to Morgan LeRae, who seems to be our voice of Summer, who I believe was the voice of, again, the narrator from the beginning of this volume. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being Summer. You did very well. Also, we get to see more of Summer's weapons, how it folds. Again, pretty much how I predicted. It's slightly different, but that's okay, because it was very hard to predict what the handle would do. But, yeah, cool. It becomes a rifle just like I thought it would. And there's actually no indication that it does become a scythe-like weapon, also like I thought it would. So that's good. That's fun. And yeah, Summer in a full design looks pretty cool. Still very, very RWBY, but again, in canon now, it seems mostly RWBY modeled herself off of her mother. What I mean is, I go into this in my other video, but it seems like in real life, the RWBY designs came first, and then they didn't know what to do for Summer, so they just used RWBY's outfits as a base for Summer. But in canon, Summer came first, so all of RWBY's outfits are just copying her mum. But still, this one is a bit more unique, and doesn't have the full corset, which is a nice change. And it has the double straps like I thought, with the leaf pins like I thought, like with the belt ends, and the badge in the middle. So yeah, cool stuff. And what I wanted to talk about was that, like I said, I made a video literally yesterday that I will link right after this video that you should probably go watch because it's still relevant. And it's about the de-idolization of Summer Rose. And I think that really goes into what we've been talking about, that RWBY might need to realize Not that she needs to be someone else, that being herself is the most important, and that she isn't perfect because no one is perfect. Like Weiss said, the best huntsmen still failed. They're still not here. You know, everyone makes mistakes. There is no one perfect. And RWBY holds up her mother as being basically perfect. So I think reaching for her mother's weapon, I think that the point is that she doesn't need to take it. She might reach for her mother's weapon, and we might get some flashbacks. We probably will almost certainly get some flashbacks next episode of Summer's life. What happened to her? You know, through the magic of Ever After, we can see that. And the point will be that she's not perfect, that she made mistakes, that she's done the wrong thing, that she made bad choices. There is no perfect. She's not the idol you should hold her up to be. It doesn't mean she's a bad person, but no one's perfect. Everyone struggles. You know, that feeling of never being good enough, your greatest hero felt that too. And that ties back to another point we've actually already covered in this show, back when RWBY needed to hear it, but probably didn't take it on board as heavily as she should have, which is Crow told her the exact same thing. Do you remember back at Amity Arena? That when she got her Huntress license, she thought that she wasn't ready. And Crow says that feeling never goes away. The truth that RWBY needs to know is not that she needs to be someone else, that she needs to be herself and accept her mistakes, because everyone will make them. Because what she needs is to be RWBY. What she needs is to be herself and allow herself to make mistakes. Yes, you made a mistake. You did the wrong thing. You did not make the right choices. But this is our payoff for that. You know, making the wrong decision and causing the destruction of Atlas, bad. And not bad writing. You know, bad on the characters because they were ill-prepared. They weren't cut out for this. They are children. You know, that they had to balance the fate of a nation against an unkillable enemy. What do? Well, I think we're about to see that Summer had the same thing. She had to face an unkillable, unbeatable enemy, and she's gonna make the mistake of trying to beat her, and it doesn't work out. Summer made the mistake, and she paid for it. And you guys made a mistake, and you're paying for it. That doesn't mean you have to be someone else. Also, we have a great setup with how Herb came back from being the statue, that RWBY can do the same thing. That, you know, the others will be fighting the Cat and Cat Neo, and they'll be on the back foot and losing, and boom, right at the last second, RWBY can dive in, you know, spring from her statue and dive in and save someone. Hopefully Yang, save someone's life. Although it might be Weiss. But either way, yeah, she can do the whole thing. That'd be cool. I tell you what, it doesn't seem to take very long, or if that is the case, it won't have taken very long for RWBY to do her reincarnation thing. I mean, it seems to have taken a while for Herb, but I feel like narratively it's not going to take that long for RWBY, because she only really just got here, and she's going to spring out before they leave. So if they camp out and wait for RWBY, which might happen, they better do the same thing for Jean if he's in there. If the team leave Jean in the Ever After, because he'll follow us when he's ready, I will not be happy. I can see them doing that, but you better not leave him behind, god damn it. Even if he can follow you. We also have the questions of Neo and the Cat. I do feel like the Neo will be left by the Cat, and I think Neo might stay here. I do think this is our ending for Neo. She's going to stay in the Ever After. She might even do something heroic, maybe just to spite the Cat. Like, the Cat will eject from Neo and try and take over someone else, and maybe take over Jean, who knows, and Neo will, like, stab it, or, like, grab it and throw it off the tree, or something. Just enough time for RWBY and everyone to escape, because it can't use Neo to get back, and then Neo technically did something heroic, even though it wasn't heroic, it was just screw the Cat, because I hate the Cat. Like, it just took me over, so screw that thing. And then she can stay in Ever After and live in her fantasy, and that's what I thought would happen. Again, that was my prediction, that she would stay in the Ever After and live in her fantasy with all her creations and Roman, which makes sense, you know, just lost in the delusion. You know, it doesn't matter if you know it's not real. When you don't have anything else you go back to that's more real. You know, who says what's real? Just because the other world is, you know, not your creation doesn't mean you aren't happier here. So it's an ending for Neo that is bittersweet. You know, she doesn't become a good guy. She doesn't get killed either. But she has a punishment/paradise ending. You know, she has a bittersweet, melancholy ending. She gets to live forever, or however long you live here, in her fantasy. And that's the end of it. And also, you know, fan fiction writers go crazy because there is a door to come back if she ever finds reason to come back. You know, maybe she can do that. Or maybe she gets reincarnated in 80 years or however long things live here, and after that time she then comes back in her next life. There's plenty there to write and play with, so you're all good. I do still wonder about the cat coming back with us, because it feels so weird if the ending is it gets trapped here still. Like, what did we learn? That the gods made the cat and also cursed it, and, you know, it lives a horrible life that it hates. And it is a bad guy, but it's been driven insane by just staying here with a need and a curse. And it doesn't come back with us, and we just leave it trapped here forever to terrorize the ever after and whatever. Like, I don't know, that feels kinda useless. I feel like we need to do something with the cat. The cat needs to be more. So, I don't know, like, to leave ever after and go back to Remnant, it seems to be the implication is you have to really want to go there. And the cat really wants to go there, but I guess isn't from there, so can't. So, I don't know, just like everything else, you feel sorry for the cat. I mean, it's being a dick here. It's fighting them, it wants to kill people, it has killed people, it's vengeful and spiteful and mean. But, I mean, again, this is our lesson, like with Salem. If it's just a being that's been screwed over by the gods and left to go nuts, it's exactly what happened with Salem. And I understand that can be the lesson, but we also already knew that lesson. The gods were dicks and screwed over Salem and gave her a curse forever. And she's gone insane. And no matter what she tried to get out of it, it just made things worse. Well, the cat has also been screwed over and left here to go insane, and has been doing everything it can to leave, to find purpose or to find an ending or whatever, and can't. And we're just leaving it here to also go insane. I know that our heroes maybe can't help in that way. Like, I don't know what they can do. But I feel like, should we show mercy on the cat? Should the ending be that they grab the cat by the back of the neck and walk through with it, and that will take it back with us? I have, of course, made 2 theories about why that might be and what could happen if we do that. But it feels like we need to do that. That, you know, what is the point of the cat otherwise? Just to be a villain. But the overall story is something we should learn from. That the cat is not the bad guy. The cat, like Salem, is a victim of terrible deities. And I do like, actually, that RWBY takes place in a world like Greece or whatever, like their pantheon, where the gods aren't good people. The gods are dicks, who most of the people live in fear of or just despise. And like, not all of them, obviously, and they do pray to them, and they also have to because they think they're almighty, but like, your gods aren't good people, and they know that. And all the stories are about them screwing everyone over and doing selfish things and doing what they want. But anyway, you know, it's very against what the modern thoughts of gods and deities as being, you know, these divine, blessed beings with the best of people and the best of creation in mind. No, they're just assholes. But the point is, no matter the circumstances of the cat, whatever it may be, why are we putting it in this story if it's not coming back? And if it is coming back, and I'm wrong about what it is, then what's it going to be? Why do we bring this back? What do we do with it? It definitely seems like we're not coming back with Neo, and I don't think the possessing people can get it out of there, or it won't be able to possess someone who it also leaves with. I don't think it can possess John and walk out because he won't let it, or if it does that, it won't work. So I think the only answer might be that our characters take pity on it and take it with them. But again, it's not doing much to endear itself to our characters now either. So them being spiteful and leaving it behind, I understand in the moment, but I just wonder what we're learning from this and what we're doing with it, because it feels too important and too special not to do something with. It's a little more than just a generic bad guy. So those are the 2 thoughts I would like to leave you with. What do we do with this cat, and what will RWBY pick? And I do think that the answer will be not to become Summer Rose, because that... Look, I understand that the easy answer would be that she needs to become Summer Rose, become her hero, become who she was meant to be, and there's lots of ideas, like, she is Summer Rose, you know, the cycle repeats, and, like, she will actually be her own mother or something, I don't know. Like, I've thought about that before, like, this cycle, you know, if you haven't noticed that the RWBY looks exactly like her mom, and Ty looks kind of like Jean, like, sandy blonde hair, and RWBY has exactly the same build as her mom, so it's like a weird cycle where they become their parents, and the story starts over again until it works. And I have thought about that before. I've thought about making a video about that before, about like a crazy cyclical world that just repeats on this over and over again until they get it right. And they become their parents, and then make themselves and they go on the journey again. Who knows? Either way, it's a very interesting dilemma. I really hope the lesson is not to become Summer Rose, but that even Summer Rose wasn't correct. Even the greatest hero you've ever known that's been held up was not perfect, and that's because you need to learn that it's okay to not be perfect. They made mistakes too, and you're not wrong for your mistakes. What's important is learning from our mistakes. And I leave you with that thought, and at the end of this video there will be links to a video exactly about that topic, as well as some of the other things I've mentioned. So, with that being said, this has been the second last episode of Volume 9. My name is Rigger. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope I did alright.